Hey guys, it's Tana and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working on the Simon Says Stamp July kit. I cannot remember the name at this current time. I'm sorry this video is so late, you guys. I'm trying to catch up on everything in my life lately, it seems. So we're just taking a piece of the Deco transfer paper, Deco foil transfer paper, and using the foil that came in the kit. And here you just see me measuring where my center piece was going to go on that base, because I'm not going to waste that foil. So I'm cutting some of the honeycombs out from the die that came in the kit and saving all the pieces. And I also cut a thanks sentiment with an MFT thanks die, Simply Thanks I think it's called, out of the center of that, as you'll see in a minute or two. And I completely use up the center of that foil. So now I'm playing with these color bursts. I wanted to make a panel, something to put the little bees on, but I wasn't sure what I wanted, so I'm just playing around here. I started with the lilac waterfall. Actually, I think I started with a little bit of the blue, but not too much. Then the lilac waterfall. Then I added some of the solar flare. And I ended up going back to the blue, which I'm pretty sure is called Blue Blitz. And here I am just drying it back and forth, trying not to warp the paper too much, and then I set that aside. This is where you're going to see me clean out the inside of that frame, because I don't want to waste any little bit of it. I've been waiting forever to get my hands on some of this rainbow shattered glass foil. So I just kind of drew a line around there. I think it was the same line I used to cut out the honeycombs, and then I just trimmed all that inside pieces out. And I just used my hole punch to cut some confetti pieces. Now, I left this in on purpose, and I actually cut some of it out. I stuck myself to this thing so many times. I tried to use tools. I don't know why I didn't leave a blank space on there to put my finger on. It wasn't cardstock, so it was, it's extremely difficult. Well, it was a thin piece of, paper. It was extremely difficult to keep it down, to put the tape on, but also get my fingers off of it. And it was the same problem putting it onto the cardstock, the base. And I cut some of that out as well. But I wanted you to see this because, guys, I am not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. It's just most of the time you guys don't see them. So I put that on there, and now I'm going to use one of my Simon Says Stamp wonky stitch rectangle dies. Cut that out, and then I just sanded off those little shavings with my sand eraser. I've noticed that when I use those dies, I end up sometimes with either a paper sliver, a paper cut, or a metal sliver from those dies. I don't know why. Maybe I just got a bad set. But, man, those metal slivers hurt. So I stamped out a bunch of bees and colored them in. I cut the coloring, almost all the coloring out of this video. It would have been way too long. I popped up that center panel on some foam tape, and now I'm just using the honeycomb outlines. I'm not filling them in with any of the center pieces, to kind of make a design going up from the bottom of the panel, like so. And then I'm going to put 2 bees on there, and that same color burst panel that I made, that I cut that panel out of, I stamped my sentiment on. And I can't read the sentiment, so I don't remember what I used. Let me see here. Thanks for being there. And I cut it out with a skinny strips die from Neat and Tangled, and just taped that to the bottom corner of the panel. 3 bees. I used 3 bees here. I forgot about that. And this one I did not show you guys me making. It was just simple, like a piece of the pattern paper that came in the kit, and using the die on some alcohol ink paper that I had made some other point in time. So for this card, I took that pretty blue watercolor looking background from the pattern paper, and I actually took the cover of the pattern paper, that's where that strip came from, trimmed it down to go on the bottom part of my card. I put a black mat behind this paper and it goes on a yellow card base. And I actually cut it out, but I made a mistake cutting and sizing this strip, so you see me placing two pieces together, and those are both popped up on foam tape. Then I take one of those bee trails, if you will. Oh, I forgot about this part. I'm just gluing together 2 layers of cardstock to put my foiled thanks letters on top of. I did use the glue sponge. I eventually remembered that it came in the kit, but I had a hard time with my glue sponge. The glue kept going to the bottom of the container, so I had to keep flipping it over because I had to keep pushing extremely hard on the sponge to get any glue on whatever I was trying to get glue on, and my fingers were getting messy anyway, which defeats the whole purpose of the glue sponge. Here we are with the bee trail, and I used some Something Borrowed ink by Catherine Pooler to ink that onto my panel right above the strip, and then I follow the thanks letters right along that trail. And I thought it gave it a fun look. I used my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to put the letters onto the panel. I've had a rough few days, you guys. Kids were screaming all day today. It was thunderstorms for the first half of the day, and it was nothing but fighting, screaming, yelling. They were driving me nuts. I wanted to sell them all on eBay. Anybody want some kids? I can pay you to take them. Just kidding. I love my kids, but they drive me nuts. So then we have 2 little bees there. A blue one and a yellow one popped up on foam tape. I colored a whole rainbow of bees from red all the way down to purple. For this card, I covered the entire thing with a double stick adhesive sheet, and I'm using the white, I don't know what you call that, beach looking planks. They look like beach boards to me. And this is a stencil I made myself, a fireworks stencil, and I'm using some Deco foil transfer gel. And you will see me, I think I cut it out. I scraped up every bit of this transfer gel. Scraped it all off the stencil. There you go. And my glass mat. I don't like to waste things. I put one firework at the top, one at the bottom, and set that aside to dry. So now I'm taking those pretty black and white flowers and kind of taking inspiration from the inspiration sheet for this card, but doing it a little bit different. I use an oval infinity die from Hero Arts, and I find a section on the pattern paper that I like, and I cut it out, and it pained me, you guys. It pained me to cut those cubes apart on the other side. So here, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was too close to the edge of my cutting plates, but it didn't cut through all the way, so I had to just trim that off. And now I'm just sketching out 2 bee trails, if you will, in green and orange, because those are the bees that I'm going to use. And I outlined those bee trails in a black Spectrum Noir marker because it has a firmer tip. And I wanted to follow the pencil lines, and anywhere I didn't follow the pencil lines exactly, I erased that with my sand eraser. And then I just proceed to color in each of those trails with different shades of green, and then on the other one different shades of orange. I wanted it to be completely a trail of whatever bee it was coming from. I had fun doing this card. I really liked this card. I didn't realize I left so much of the coloring in, and that's a lot, I think, for one of my videos. Now I took this striped piece of pattern paper, which I really liked, but it was too much black and white. Too much black and white for the card. So I took some of the Melon Ice Catherine Pooler ink and my green. I think I used my green blending brush to blend that onto the paper. And then I put that on a yellow card base. And I like the way this looks. Then I put some foam tape on the back of that oval and put that towards the center, but up towards the top a little bit. so we can put a sentiment underneath. Now the bees were a little bit difficult. I didn't show you everything, but I had a hard time like drawing a line because some of it would be glue to attach to the popped up panel and some of it was foam tape. What sentiment did I use for this card? Be awesome, I think it says. And then that bee on the bottom has a little fun trail of black only sequins all the way to the sentiment, and I used some Nouveau jewel drops maybe in ebony black. And now we're back to the firecrackers or the fireworks. So I used some of the rainbow foil again, and I've already run it through the machine. And quick little story, I did make some of the cards with the, I don't know what you call them, the sheets that came in the kit that had the ink on them that you can foil. And I almost broke my, why am I losing my words today, guys? My laminator. Real quick, let me tell you, I traced this Celebrate die because I want to use the word celebrate, but I traced it backwards because I don't want any pencil lines to show on the front of my black cardstock. And then I just freehanded a line about 1/4 inch away from that outline because I wanted to make a shadow for my word. So this is something I think I've done before in another video, and you can do this when you don't have a shadow for one of your word dies. And then I didn't feel like cutting it out again, so I'm just going through a bag of already cut sentiments so I can just thicken this up just a tiny bit before I put it onto the shadow. And you'll see me cut the shadow out here in a minute. So back to the laminator, I decided it wasn't hot enough and this foil wasn't working quite well with the pictures, the cardstock pictures that came in the kit. So I decided to run the one through without a piece of parchment covering it, and I used an extra long piece of foil because it was just a skinny little piece and I didn't feel like cutting it, and it wrapped around the roller. I had to take my laminator apart. By the time I got done taking that laminator apart, ripping the card out of there and putting it back together, I was like, yep, I'm done with cards for tonight. I was so frustrated I walked away. You guys probably would have laughed at me if you would have seen it. So I'm just gluing this on. I tried my new Lawn Fawn glue tube, precision glue tube, if that's what it's called, to put this onto my shadow. And then I popped it up on a very thin piece of foam tape because this panel is also popped up on the black card base. So I just used that. I think I showed you guys I got that deal on the 2 rolls of foam tape on Amazon, but they're super, super thin. So I just used that to pop up the word celebrate. And that word celebrate was a pre-cut, something I had done a while back, and it's from an alcohol ink panel. And that little bee I just showed you a close-up of, I used a white gel pen on the black parts of his body to make like little fur. I thought it turned out okay. Moving along, I am stamping out the big words that came in the stamp set, be and just, and I will fussy cut these out, and then we're going to use that other panel, that other wood grain panel, the one that looked a little grayish, for another card. I don't think I showed you much more of the fussy cutting. Nope. So I'm trying to remember. I think this went on one of the sea glass card bases, and I thought it turned out pretty cute. It was something different for me. So I used my X-Acto blade to get the insides of that letter B. I made sure I showed you guys that, and I almost cut myself. Be very careful when you do something like that, because I was being a little dangerous with my blade. Okay, so we took that bee trail heart, and we're going to stamp that kind of in the center of that wood grain panel. I am placing my letters here just to kind of see where I want them, to make sure I put the heart in the right place. And I'm using, throughout this video, I used the Alta New ink that I just got. I'm kind of liking it right now, the crisp ink, permanent black. It was probably my favorite ink during this video. And then I decided after I stamped it in black ink that I wanted something different. So I colored the bee in with a yellow glitter gel pen, and then I did the wings in silver, and then I proceeded to go around the entire heart with purple and blue glitter pen and gel pen, and I liked the way that turned out. I thought it looked really, really neat. And then I colored the words just and bee in some of those colors as well. The word just was colored with all the fun colors, and the word bee was colored in the same colors as the little bumblebee, silver and yellow. I also used a black gel pen to draw a little antenna and then recolor his eyes, because you know how gel pens are. They cover up anything they're coloring on. These letters were so tiny I had to use my tweezers to hold the top and color in the bottom, and that was it for that card. I thought it turned out cute. Oh, I forgot I put the yourself in the middle, in the inside of the card. So it says just bee, and then it says yourself on the inside. But it didn't stamp all the way because I tried to cut corners and just kind of have the stamp hanging off. So I had to go over it with a micron pen. Oh, I forgot that little guy went in there. See, guys? I'm seeing this stuff as if for the first time, just like you guys are. I swear some days I'm just not with it. So here are the 8 cards. There's 2 cards there, actually 3 cards that I did not show you the process on. I wanted to keep this video kind of short, and after I had that problem with the laminator, I was kind of just done. So thank you for watching today, guys. I'm so sorry it took so long to get this video out. If you like what you saw, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you want to join in on the giveaways every month, be sure to hit that notification button so you can be notified when there's a giveaway. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.